Welcome. Today, with our time together, I'm going to help you decide if this is a book that you want to spend your time and spend your money on reading. The book is titled Magda, My Journey. Now, Magda might be a terrible mispronunciation. It might be Magda, and South Africa and Afrikaans you would say Magda, so forgive me. I hope I'm getting it right. Obviously, it covers the life story of the founder of the Sygnia business group, Magda Wierzycka. Now, let's get a little bit of information out the way about the book. The book is around 233 pages long, and it cost me around $300 to buy from our local bookshop. It took me 3 or 4 weeks to read, but it was during the crazy December period, and so that's less of a reflection of the book's writing and more of a reflection of just a really hectic month of December. Now, the goal of this video and our time together is going to be to help you figure out if this is a book that you want to read. And I hope by the end of it, I've helped you make that decision. So the book is, again, 300 Rand, 233 pages, and published by Penguin Random House. The book covers Magda's life story from being a child in Poland through to modern-day business successes like Sygnia, including the state capture years as well. And it's written very authentically. Now, before I picked up the book, part of me was wondering if, like many successful business people, maybe Magda outsourced the writing of the book to a ghostwriter, so an editor who takes over the bulk of the writing work, and the author just has to sort of sign off. But after reading the book, I can tell you that it definitely feels as if it was written by the author. So, reasons you might like the book: I think anyone who's a fan of South African business, I think anyone who's keen to read more on South African success stories. I think anyone politically who's got interest in the state capture of South Africa. Obviously, Magda was a big voice in the fight against state capture, and I think the book covers the very personal journey of Magda as someone who was fighting against state capture, often to the peril of her own personal and family life. And she covers, in its pages, she covers the highs and the lows of that. Definitely for the fans of business, and definitely for those who want to dig a little deeper into someone who's lived a very, very interesting life. Now, reasons you might not like the book: it's written very, I think, authentically in Magda's voice. Now, if you've heard Magda speak, or if, like me, you have a couple European friends who speak English, she has the same sort of delivery, very matter-of-fact, very short sentences, and that can be a little disconcerting. I enjoyed it personally. I think, again, because I've got European friends, my German friends, and I know how they speak, and because I was a fan of Magda, I enjoyed the bits and pieces. I can say the first half of the book was a little harder to read than the second half. The first half of the book primarily covered Magda's growing up years, the years of being a young refugee child from Poland, finding her place in South Africa, in the South African schooling system, up until her first work experience in the financial industry as an actuary. Now, the second half of the book really kicks into speed where she's finding herself, and it covers the first few business successes. It covers the highs and the lows of the business successes she's had. And so I could understand if someone reading the book wanted to skip and gloss over the first part of the book and kind of jump into the meat in the second, especially because that's where the political side of the state capture project is covered in a bit more detail. So definitely understand if someone struggles a little more in the first part of the book. I personally, again, loved every second, especially because I could hear Magda's voice as she was writing in her style. So I think the one part of the book that did confused me a little was typically as a successful business person, she can gloss over some of the parts that I really wish she would break open and kind of, take a bit of a deep dive into, specifically around the business successes. Like, she does dedicate shorter bits of text towards some of the successes. Like, okay, so I wanted to start this thing, so I went out and I started it, and that might be, a few sentences where, me as a pleb, I'm sitting reading the book going, oh my God, there must have been such interesting things that have happened, but, it's so glossed over, it felt so glossed over in the book. But conversely, to play devil's advocate, there were certain parts of the book. Now, let's get the elephant out of the room. Now Magda is a pioneer in the financial industry field in South Africa, and no doubt she's come up against a lot of sexism and sexist behavior. And the book gets a huge focus on that. And when I say huge, it's to the extent where I did find myself rolling eyes every now and again where I got it. It's a sensitive topic and it's something she's very proud of having faced and combated. But it does feel like some of the parts of the book could have had a little less focus on that, because after drumming home the point through large sections of the beginning of the book, I just found myself after the second half of the book going, okay, I get it. There was a huge amount of sexism in the industry, and it felt like she spent a huge amount of time focusing on that to the detriment of the actual content of the book. Now, I've got no doubt that her goal was an authentic delivery of the book, and I think she's absolutely achieved that. It's like I say, it's just something that I found myself getting a little distracted by, where instead I would have loved the focus to go into the business side and the business successes I think she's had. So definitely a great read. I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. I think authentic for any fans out there of Magda and any fans of South African or business in general. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've given it a read. Let me know if you agree or if you think my review was a bit off. But I appreciate the time. Thanks.